Hello. We already have 21 people here. Hello. So I'm Ana Torres from Wattsense, and we're joined today with by Alim Aftab from Forest Rock and Luke Davis from Wattsense. We will give a couple of minutes so everybody can join in and let us know on the chat if you can hear us, if you can hear me. And that way there's no issues. Oh, thank you, Neil. It's a yes. I'll just give a couple more, another minute or two. So people, thank you, Ben. Okay, perfect. Well, I'm just gonna explain a little bit of the housekeeping rules that we have today. If you're not familiar with Livestorm, the platform that we use for the webinars, this webinar is being recorded and you will receive a replay after the event is finished. And eventually this video will be in the YouTube channel of Wattsense. So feel free to subscribe because we're always uploading videos over there. There's the questions tab, very important. So make sure to ask your questions in the questions tab, preferably instead of the chat. Let's leave the chat for sharing some links that I will be sharing and comments in case there's any issues with the sound, etc., etc., etc. And there's some polls. I will publish the first poll right now. Feel free to participate. I just published it. And it's very important for us to have this information. That way we can better get to know you and what are the needs that Wattsense and Forest Rock can help you solve, etc., etc. So without further ado, I think, guys, you guys can start. Look, if you want. It's already level 3. And and one thing, of course, there's going to be a questions and answer section at the end. So you can ask your questions on the questions tab at the bottom of the screen, and we will read them at the end. But we might respond to some of the questions during the presentation. Maybe something you ask will be mentioned later on or something like that, but we will read your questions at the end. So thank you very much for joining us, and I'll leave you guys with Luke and Ali.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. Yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Wattsense and Forest Rock are excited to present to you the new features now from the Wattsense solution. We're going to jump into a little bit of an agenda. So we're going to go through some introductions. Alim's going to introduce himself and Forest Rock, and then I'll do the same for Wattsense. We'll do a few slides then, just showcasing what the Wattsense solution is. And again, as Anna's mentioned, if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat. We'll try to get them answered straight away for you. And then we're going to jump into a little bit of a live demo of the new feature, which is the control feature. So I'll just pop you over now to Alim, and I'll let him do some introductions.
Thanks, Luke. Hi, all. Thanks for joining this webinar. So I'm Alim Aftab. I'm working with Forest Rock. It has been more than 2 years. A little bit about Forest Rock. We specialized in the BMS world. We offer different types of solutions, including BMS controllers and IO modules. We also offer secure remote access solutions, LoRaWAN solutions. We offer meters and CTs. We have a dedicated software development team, and we have on offer some of the energy management software solutions as well. We do offer control panels as well. So, for example, if you order some kit and you want us to install that in a panel, we can do that. We can do bespoke software development as well, and we do different types of trainings and support.
Yeah, thanks, Alim. And my name's Luke Davis, as you're all probably aware. I'm the UK account manager, UK based as well. So if anybody wants any sort of help with projects or things, I am UK based now. So we can get out and see you or even visit sites with you. And basically, we are a 32-member team. We were acquired by Siemens in 2021, so we now have the backing of Siemens behind us. Our main office is actually located in Lyon in France. And we have a new CEO, actually, Emmanuel Val, who's recently joined us. And we're really excited to work with him and all the new things that he's bringing to the company. So just to give you a quick overview of the Wattsense solution, it's a piece of hardware, a gateway that you can deploy into your buildings, offices, schools. And we like, now with the new control solution, we like to say that it can do a multitude of things, but with the new control solution, we can actually see it more like a light BMS. So instead of having the 30K plus setup of a BMS, you can automate and control your buildings now just via this little box. It's very easy to set up. And you don't need a BMS commissioner. You don't need any of that sort of stuff going on now. An electrician can come and install it in a day. It's got a UI. So we have a page now where you have all the intuitive UI built in. So you have like a mini head end, let's say, like a dashboard. It comes in different, Aline will touch on this a little bit later, but there's two versions. We have a tower and a bridge. So bridge is the on-premise version with no cloud, and the tower version basically has a dashboard, graphs, alarms, and the control features. It's a very simple and easy installation. It's just plug and play, switch it on, log into your UI, put all your details in, pair your equipment, and away you go. So, it keeps control of your BMS, and it's worth pointing out as well, it doesn't have to just work on its own. It works alongside a BMS too. So you can run, we'll touch on it in a little bit, but you can run a backnet scan, LoRaWAN to backnet scan, pull data from your BMS, and you can view all that on the dashboard. So time to install, again, it's very, very easy, simple, takes less than a day. You have a user console, which I'm going to demo to you in a little while. And it costs 5 to 10 times less than a regular BMS. The box is a simple IoT solution. So as I've just stated, we can deploy this into our offices, into our schools, and we can control and view pretty much anything that you want to look at. So as an example, if you had a small school and you wanted to connect some Vicky TRVs, some thermostats, temperature sensors, turn your boiler on and off, pretty much all the sort of light automation that you would like to do, that's available. You can connect your sub-meters, radiator controls, office sensors, CO2 sensors, pretty much anything. And obviously it's interoperable as well. One of our favorite words is you can basically use the REST API. So if you wanted to go a little bit deeper into the analytics side of things, you can go via the REST API and you can send that to any sort of prop tech platform, analytics platform, and have that working alongside it also. That's available on the cloud-based solution on the tower. The cybersecurity, we use AWS. So it's end-to-end encryption, secure firmware, full authentication, and also the data storage. Just skip through that one. Coming on to the protocols, you've got all your normal protocols that you have within the BMS industry. We've got the LoRaWAN to backnet, IP, Modbus functionalities, and again, you can use whichever protocol you want, whichever works best for yourself. We can run backnet scans from the BMS, and yeah, we can touch on that a little bit later too. I'm just going to jump on to a couple of use cases now, or use case from Aline and Forest Rock and where they've actually deployed this solution. Aleem, I'll just let you run through this.
Yeah. So before we jump on to the actual demo of the control features, I just want to build up this background on how we are, or on how our current partners are controlling different devices. So one of the use cases that we experienced was with the TRVs. So one of our partners, they wanted to control the heating in one of the buildings. So we recommended the Watson solution to go along the Wiki TRVs. So the implementation was, Luke, if you can go a slide back, please. Okay, next slide. So the brief was the radiator valves were disconnected. They needed user control. They needed set point control as well. And they needed efficient implementation of the whole solution. On top of that, they wanted to meet the sustainability goals by reducing the heating and CO2 emissions. So we suggested the Watson's Gateway, and along with that, we suggested AmpClimate Wiki TRVs. They had the BMS already in place. Once the Wiki TRVs were installed along with the gateway, the integration between the LoRaWAN and BMS was done using the BACnet IP, and then the whole logic was designed in the BMS that let the customer control the heating by set point reversions and manual controls from the users on site. So that was the approach. The Wiki TRVs polling into the Watson's Gateway, and then the Watson's Gateway was integrated into the JS using BACnet IP. So at that time, there was only one product on offer from Watson's, and that was the bridge that was used. So now what can happen is on this use case, the whole of the logic, it resides in the JS controller that you can see. So now you can design the logic within the Watson's box. It can be a bridge control, or it can be a tower control. So you don't need the BMS management system. You don't need the controllers. So you can design the whole logic within the box. Or any other platform, if you're using, for example, if you're using a cloud platform to send the control commands from that platform to the TRVs, let's say, you can even skip that as well. So it will be, that solution will comprise of 2 bits. One, the end device, that is the Wiki TRV, and the other one would be the box from Watson's. It can be, again, it can be a bridge control, or it can be a tower control.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's worth just mentioning there as well, Aleem, that, you know, using the JS originally to have the logic in there, you mentioned now that we don't need that anymore. You can do all the logic, and you can pop your set points in, and you can control it all now via the Watson's box, which I'll demo to you in a little while. But it's a really great feature now that sort of condenses the Watson's box and takes it to another level where we can actually control, and it's fantastic for schools and SMEs and office blocks, where in cases, in scenarios where you might want to be, you know, controlling temperature to a schedule for when people are in, or when people are leaving the offices or schools. And you can also use things like a pilot wire or a Wiki TRV now to be able to preheat buildings. So you know, you have the functionality to turn your boiler on and off. You can control your lighting. There's so many other different scenarios that work now, this control features here.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Luke mentioned here, I would if you take out the 3rd bit, that is the JS, out of the picture, your control scenario will work within the Watson's box. Regardless of what type of sensor or device that you're using on site, you will be able to design a scheduler, and you will be able to design an automation logic within the box that will send the downlinks to those sensors or devices. And in that way, the whole automation will come into place. So Luke did mention that there's a difference between the Wattsense tower and the bridge. As you can see, some of the differences on screen. The tower supports, it comes with the cloud subscription as compared to the bridge. You can have the API integration within the tower. You can have the alarms, the graphs, and you can design different dashboards. The tower will let you save the data from your points, from the sensors or devices, because it comes with the cloud storage, and the rest of the features are the same between the tower and the bridge. The bridge it's a one-time purchase. It does not have any cloud subscription added to it, so it's a one-time purchase as compared to the tower.
Yeah, I'll just touch on that a little bit. I think the writing under the bridge on this slide is the same as the tower. It shouldn't be. Just to make things clear, the difference between the tower and the bridge. The bridge is the on-premise version, where we don't see data. We can't play around with data, so that is purely for your own consumption. But the tower version being that it's sent to the cloud, and from there, because we can see the data and play around with it in the secure web, we can create dashboards and graphs. Just touching a little bit on what Aleem said around the pricing. I'm not going to dive too deep into it today, but if anyone is interested in the differences in the pricing structures, we can go through it. The bridge is a one-time purchase, so you buy the on-premise version and that would be it. The tower version being a subscription model where you can elevate or subtract the number of points that you have within the subscription. I'll just touch on the fact that the hardware itself, so the Wattsense box, I'm not sure if you guys can see me as I'm in display mode at the minute, but the Wattsense box and the hardware is always the same. The only difference is the logic that we send to it. So if you, for instance, bought a bridge and you wanted an on-premise version, you then come to realization that you wouldn't mind having a little bit of control there, or you wouldn't mind looking at graphs and downloading that data via EDE files, or even setting up alarms. I'll touch on that on the demo too. We can turn the bridge into a tower or the tower into a bridge. It's all the same hardware. So we can add points, subtract points. So just depending on your project, you could just have 3 or 4 hardwares and then just deploy them as and when you see fit to either the tower or the bridge.
Yeah, so now the two new products that this webinar revolves around are the tower control and the bridge control. So you might have seen the bridge and the tower, but now a bridge can come with the control feature, as well as the tower can come with the control features as well. So for example, if you want to display data on dashboards, display data on graphs, set up some alarms, integrate API, you can use the tower control. Or if you'd like to have a bridge that is on-premise solution, you don't need to see any data or any graphs or any alarms. You can use the bridge with the control features as well. So both the boxes can come with the control features.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as an example there, you can connect all different types of buildings. We have a lot of different types of clients. We work closely alongside distributors, system integrators, all across Europe and the world. And many different types of scenarios where this box is being deployed. Just for instance, banks, schools, office buildings, you can equip all your different types of equipment to the solution. You can connect your gas meters and your water meters. You can have all different types of IoT sensors via LoRaWAN. It does come with all the regular protocols that you want to use on site. Or if you want a completely wireless site and a quick deployed solution, you can just have it as a LoRaWAN gateway. Connect all your sensors wirelessly, get that data collected into the box, and depending on whether you want the bridge or the tower, if you chose the tower, then you'd have access to all the graphs and alarms and things like that. So You can, for instance, in a school, you could set up TRV thermostats. You can have that deployed, that information deployed to the box. From there, you can set up alarms if it gets too hot, or criticality of buildings, places like labs and things like that. You can set up alarms to alert you via text message or email if values go above or below a certain parameter, which you would set yourself. So there's many different types of scenarios where this box is used. And just during the housekeeping as well, when we're talking, if there is any particular projects that you'd like either myself or Liam to take a look at, we're more than happy to have that discussion afterwards as well. Or we can set up some sort of private demo too.
Yeah, just to add on that before Luke jumps on to the demo. So the Wattsense box, it supports in protocols and out protocols. So for the in protocols, it means you can feed the box with data using BACnet IP, Modbus IP, Modbus 485, LAN, KNX, LoRaWAN. All of these protocols are supported as in protocols. And then if you want to take data out of the box, it supports BACnet IP, Modbus IP, MQTT, and API integration.
Yeah, brilliant. So without further ado, we will just jump onto a short demo. I will just share my screen with you all in a sec. Just bear with me. Oh, not that. Disable screen sharing. Just while I'm having these little technical difficulties, Aleem, do you want to just run through some of the control features or?
Yeah, so basically there are two main features. There will be a schedule. There is a scheduler. You can schedule different things. So for example, in case of heating, you can design a schedule. For example, between 8 and 5, you can kickstart your heating, and between 5 p.m. till 8 a.m. in the morning, you can have a scheduler where you can switch off your heating. And then on the automation features, it's basically designed around IFTTT. It means if this, then that logic. So you can take value from a sensor and design the logic, use it as a trigger point, and then that trigger will send the commands to different devices as a result.
Perfect. And can we all see that now? Presume we can?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So once you log into the actual console, you're going to be faced with this screen, and that's going to give you a bit of an overview around which boxes are where. As you can see, my demo box is actually in Lyon in our head office. I set it up the first time I went out there. Got a couple of things hooked up there, which I'll show you. But I'll be controlling that from up in the Leeds area of the UK. So I'm currently in the north of the UK. And we'll just jump into my tower. So you have a home page which you can customize. We're going to be doing a little bit of revamps and things around here, just to show that the dashboard, this is an actual picture, a schematic of our office, and I've put live values on there now. So you can see that we have CO2 sensor in there reading at 590 ppm, and we have a temperature sensor, and it's currently quite toasty by the looks of it in that office at 25 degrees. These features are all available on the tower, and then I'll show you the control features that have now landed within this new program tab here. So on the tower, you can look at the graphs. You can see all the live data from whichever sensors or properties that you want to pull in from this tab here. From there, if you wanted that sent to you or you wanted it exporting, we can use this tab to export selected data, selected points. And then you can basically customize this using any of the equipments that you've got hooked up to your device. If you want just the raw data, we can deep dive into the raw data. You can see the properties and all the different stats there. Touched on alarms a little bit. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but depending on the type of alarm that you'd like to set, if it is I don't know, if it's a certain temperature or you controlling water flow, things like that, then you can set an alarm to alert you if parameters are not met. And it's as simple as creating an alarm, and you want the status of an equipment or you want the value of a property. And then you set the parameters, if it's in range, if it's outside of range, if it's true or false, and then you'd send that via a notification to a recipient there. So you just add your recipient and they would then receive the email or text message. Just jumping onto the configuration here. So once you do have your equipment, you've got your box set up, you have all your equipment ready to go, whether it's LoRaWAN or via any different protocol. Once it's set up, you then click on this tab here, which is add equipment. And it's super simple to set up. You'll add a piece of equipment. We already have over 1,500 pieces of equipment already decoded in our library. If you have a piece of equipment that's not currently on our list, if you just send us that piece of equipment, we'll decode it free of charge, pop it on the catalog, and then it's there for everybody else to use. The catalog itself is expanding week on week. We want to get it to a place where pretty much everything you can think of in any type of scenario for your building is on there, and you just click and connect it. So we have different ways to add the equipment. So we can do the bulk creation, so you can upload a CSV file. You can have all that on there. That's a fairly new feature, and it saves a lot of hassle if you've got, say, 15, 20 of the same equipment and you want all the parameters and things set the same. You can run a backnet scan from your BMS. You can go into advanced mode and you can really dial down into the finer details, or you can just simply just look at our library. So if we just looked into our library and we had a NKE pilot wire, you see it pops up straight away there. We select that as a way to turn the heating on and off. It's a LoRaWAN protocol. It already fills it out. It already knows what it is. We have the display name. You can tweak that to however you want. So if you have certain rooms that you want to show, you'd know that is the pilot wire control for a hallway, let's say, in a school. So you know roughly whereabouts in the building that is. The Devi UI and the API UI and the application key come with, you'll find that on your actual piece of equipment. It's usually a 16-digit number. So I'm just, for demo purposes, I'm just going to put random 16-digit numbers in.
Yeah, while Luke is doing that, so a smart pilot wire is a device from Vertigo. You can control different electric equipment using that device. So at the moment, we are going to demo you how this will automate the electric heating, basically.
Yeah. It's because I've already set it up. Already done prior to coming. So we've got the pilot wire and a fan coil thermostat here. These are not actually on my box. It's purely for demo purposes. So we'll just do a couple of scenarios now with the control features just to show you how that would actually work. So what we would do, we'd come over to the new tab, the control tab, program, and you have two sections here now. You've got your schedules here, and you have your automation scenarios here. To create a schedule, I've done the demo just because for time-saving purposes. but I'll just quickly run into how you would add a new schedule. You just press add schedule, you add your name, your description, your time zone, you pick the slots. So if you want the schedules to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the type, so if it's occupied, unoccupied, you can copy the same properties throughout the week. Super simple to set up. And then you would end up with a calendar view that looks like this. So in this instance, I'm using, let's say, school as a scenario base. And through the hours of 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. every day, Monday to Friday, we would want to preheat that school so that when everybody starts turning up at 8 o'clock and past, the school's already at temperature. We want to keep a certain set point between these hours, Monday, Friday, and then when it's unoccupied, we want to state that the heating ramps down. So already there, we've got a schedule scenario base where the heating's only on at certain hours at certain temperatures, and it's not left on all the time. And you can use this scenario base for lighting, for various different ways. And over the course of the year, once it's essentially like a BMS would, over the course of the year, your building's automated and you're saving a lot of money and a lot of energy. So we come over to the automations tab and you will be faced with this tab here. To add an automation, simply click here, and it's based on IFTTT scenario. So that is if this, then that. So we set the parameters. So let's just say, for instance, if a room presence sensor detects a person for 5 minutes, then we want it to do an action. We want the heater to turn on. So, and you can basically, you can add this to any sort of scenario that you would like. So you choose a condition and you come into this section. So do you want it to be on a property or on a schedule? So add a property and you see all your equipment is now down on here. Once we've added a condition, so we would add, let's say, the heater to turn on and off, we'll be faced with a scenario of this, which is pre-configured. And we say the property, the value of the temperature sensor. So if it's equal to or greater than 24 degrees in the room, we set a temporization. So that will be if that happens twice in the space of an hour. So if it reaches peak 24 degrees twice in an hour, then we send an output state of the pilot wire to come on, and vice versa. If the conditions are no longer met, and then we return back to normal.
Yeah, that will, so for example, on the output state of the pilot wire, so for example, if that condition is met, it will turn the electric heating off using that device.
Yeah. Once you go into the automation and you have a look at, so if we just come onto here and we'll go onto the property, and we have a look at the temperature. So we click the temperature. If it's equal to or greater than, just to go a little bit deeper into this, I don't know if I rushed through it a little bit too fast there. If it's equal to or greater to than the value of 24, define the temporization. So if it happens 2 times in the space of, and you can select, I'm not sure if you can see the drop down tabs.
No, we don't.
You don't?
No.
Okay, so the drop down, it gives you minutes basically. So 2 times within, let's say, 10 minutes. We save that. Then we add an action. So we want to send a value. And again, our equipment pops up here. We look at the pilot wire, the output state. And the value, we set the value to 0 or 3. So basically on or off.
Yeah.
If the conditions are no longer met, we revert back to normal. So you have the opportunity here to define all your individual parameters for this to work. You can name it whichever you like, and it's the same as a scenario if we were to use a fan coil unit, let's just say. So if the CO2 concentration in a building is equal to or greater than, let's say, 1,000 ppm, and that happens 2 times in 10 minutes, let's say, then we send the value 4, which would operate the fan speed of the fan coil unit. When the conditions are no longer met, we return to normal, and you can just play around with that. You can also add that to your schedule. So as I just showed you earlier, this is the parameters that you set for your schedule. And on this schedule here, you can set the date, so you can actually set it up for exceptions too. So if you add exceptions within your automation, if you had exceptions for school holidays, Christmas time, things like that, then we can just put those exceptions in, and whichever values that you state during those time periods, again, it'll just keep it switched off, or keep it ticking over a Christmas period if you don't want things to freeze over, etc. If you want to add your automation to a schedule, it's as simple as clicking this button here, and then the equipment that you want it to, you can see the output states here. So the values that you actually send to the box, 0 for comfort, 3 for stop. So you set your values. So the set points itself, during the occupied hours, so during that scheduled 9 to 5, we want it sat at 21 degrees in that school. During unoccupied hours, we're just going to drop that down to 15 degrees. We can preheat, so I showed you that you can preheat the school from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Obviously the preheat has to be higher than the original set point, and we set that at 22 degrees, and then once it's set point, we drop that down to 20. So we just click that, save it to the box, and then the automation's there. So on your calendar view, your heating's turning on and off to this schedule.
Wonderful.
Is there anything that you'd like me to go through, Aline, before we jump on to any Q&As?
I think it's fine. For example, if someone wants to control heating that as non-electric, so it will depend on the TRV, the different properties on the TRVs. For example, range of the motor, position of the motor. So you saw that Luke demonstrated. You're playing around with different values coming from a temperature sensor, and then based on that value as a trigger point, you're sending a command to the output value. So in case of a usual TRV, you will be sending commands to set the motor range or the position of the motor, and it will change the heating or the temperature.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll stop sharing my screen now. I think we're slightly ahead of time, 11:40, but I suppose that just gives us a little bit of an open discussion now with everyone that's joined us. I hope that's all made sense to you all. If you have any projects in mind, like I say, let's have a chat with either myself or Liam. We'll be more than happy to go through any of these scenarios with you. If you want a deeper project by project demo, we're more than happy to provide that for you also. So yeah, well, stop sharing my screen now. There we are.
We already have some questions if you guys want to go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
So we have Ian McPherson asking, with the tower being a subscription model, what happens to a subscription what happens to an installation if a subscription lapses? Does it revert to being a bridge?
So no, what will happen is you'll get a notification prior to the subscription running out, and that'll give you time to renew the subscription. We also do it on various bases, as in 1 year, 3 year, 5 year subscriptions. So it won't actually just revert to a bridge. You'll get notifications from us well in time.
Ian also asking, can you configure a gateway locally? For example, if you're in an area with no 4G signal or internet is lost.
There is ways to do it. We do advise that clients, when they're actually installing the bridge, because we understand that buildings are made of different materials, signals can be an issue. We do advise that you run a signal test using a LoRaWAN device or a range testing device prior to the installation, and you run that where it actually is. Aleem, I'm not sure if you've had any projects where you've had people with signal issues in there.
Yeah, so basically the question is around the 5 or the 4G signals. So what happens if there is no 4G connection on the site and you and your team are on site with the gateway and you want to configure it? So if you have a wired Ethernet, you just have to give the box the internet connection and you should be able to configure. If worst case scenario, you don't have the 4G signals as well as the wired internet, currently we would suggest to pre-configure the gateway before going to the site.
And on top of pre-configuring the gateway as well, so I got my wires crossed there, but yeah, you're right, you can directly connect an Ethernet cable to be able to do that. So it would have to be a hardwired connection if you're struggling to get the 4G connection. But also these external antennas that you can buy and retrofit to the box. So the antenna that we have on top of our gateway here, you see we have the LoRaWAN here and the GSM here. We would unscrew this one and we would attach a retrofit external antenna that you can put on the outside of your plant room or building to be able to extend that range and signal.
Okay. Ben Gray says, your website indicates there is no Australian distributor. Is this correct? I replied already, but saying that we don't have a distributor in Australia officially, but Singotech, that's our distributor in Singapore, services the area. But we don't have an official Australian distributor.
Yeah, I don't think we do as of yet. Watch your space though, because there's a lot of work going on in Australia. One of my colleagues are working quite closely with Singotech and other clients within Australia. So it is possible to get our solution out there and use it. It is being used out there.
Yeah, we have several projects in Australia already. Any other questions, guys and girls? Then if you have, I think Luke said already that the automation scenarios and all the features you saw are already available.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all ready to go. It's all live now. And like I say, if you have any projects that you'd like us to go through, I presume our details are on here, my email and Aleem's email for people to contact us if they have any sort of scenarios that they'd like to go through.
I'll put it in the chat. It was, yeah. Steve Joy says, can you give a rough cost of subscription cost, for 500 points with the tower?
Off the top of my head, probably not right now, but we can certainly have a chat and just go through your actual project. So yeah, we have a pricing structure. Currently having little bits and bats done to it, so it's difficult to just give you a rough cost of the actual gateway. So we can certainly have that chat afterwards.
Yeah, just to add on that. So, for example, if you guys have any projects, we can also help to design end-to-end solution for you. If you have any other questions regarding BMS, its integration with LoRaWAN, happy to help there and support you guys there as well.
Yeah, and the reason why I said just pop us emails in the chat there is just because I know a lot of people don't like to ask the questions over the internet and have everybody seeing their projects and things. So if there's anything you'd like to discuss privately, even me or Liam, I'm both more than happy to do that.
Okay, Kevin Power says, can you combine towers for the dashboard, automation, and scheduling, etc.? I think that's already, like, the tower already has this. I don't know what it's already integrated.
I think, Luke, it's the multi-site feature that we discussed.
Okay, yeah, the multi-site feature is already available, so you can you can link boxes. So if you have multiple boxes, you can pull all the values in and send it via one box to the dashboard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. The multi-site management. And Roman Petino says, is there a maximum number of points that one tower can handle? What would be the limit?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Anna, but I believe we sort of draw the line at around 5,000 points. I think, so there's no actual limit to the amount of points you can pull through, but once you start reaching a certain threshold, and let's say 5,000 points, you're going to start seeing data just slow down a little bit. So we collect data in a specific time frame. So once we're backing that box up with more points and more points, and it's pulling that data in, you'll start to slow it down after around 5,000. So we don't really advise on going much higher than that for one box, which is more more sites, I would imagine.
We have this subscription that's called the Large, which goes up to 10,000 points optional. But yeah, it depends on what you're
and it all depends on the values that you're pulling through as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like, what is your, like, if you need to, but I'll send you the link of the tower control section that shows the subscription plans on the chat. That way you guys can see it right now. So you click there and it will take you directly to our subscription formula for the tower control. But you can also check the other pages of all of the devices at our website, and then you'll see the subscription model.
Yeah, just to add a bit on that. So for example, if you've got a site where you've got a lot of sensors and devices, it will obviously increase the noise. So we have tried an external LoRaWAN antenna to go along with the Wattsense gateway that helps reduce that noise. Mm-hmm. Or we experienced that some of the devices were not polling. So as soon as we installed that external antenna, everything was fine. So there is an option of replacing the antenna that comes with a box with an external antenna. If you're
so Jane, sorry, Aline, go ahead.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, James Hill has a question, a little bit more, let's say, technical. Can a VPN link to a BMS web browser? Can a VPN link to a BMS web browser be configured in the Wattsense tower on the dashboard? It would be useful for a facility manager to see the high-level alarms, but even delve deeper into the BMS alarm console for additional details.
So with the BMS integration into Wattsense, like Luke mentioned, and I've mentioned as well, Wattsense box supports in protocol backnet IP. So you can feed, let's say, JS into the Wattsense and see the properties and scan for it. Regarding the VPN, James, I think I've been in discussion with you. We have a separate solution that can fulfill your requirement, not the Wattsense box. So we can have a discussion separately on that.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, though. I'll take that in, because what we'll say about the Wattsense solution as well is, it's becoming more of a light BMS at the minute, and there's continuously things happening to improve the functionalities of the box. We do take all customer feedback quite serious, and we have regular meetings on what the next features are that will be coming to the box. And the most requested features are the ones that actually make it to the box. And that's what's you guys that have the on-site experience, you fuel the next sort of breakthroughs that we add to this box. So I'll take that back to the team. And it's quite an interesting scenario to be able to use a VPN on that.
Yeah, and it's also great for you guys to share all these type of questions, because it helps us build our roadmap and see what is actually needed out there in the field. Absolutely. Ian has another question. Is it possible to back up device configuration for deployment on a future bridge?
Yes, it is. I did try Wattsense support on that, and what we did is we downloaded the existing configuration from an existing bridge and we uploaded it to a new bridge. So that is possible.
Was that done via ADE or?
I'm not 100% sure, but it was done by your support team.
Yeah. It'll like ADE or CSV file, I would imagine, and just upload it to the next box.
Yeah.
I'm going to share, I forgot to share the last poll. I just published it, so make sure to participate. And okay, Ian says thank you. So participate in the last poll, and if you haven't participated in the other poll, go ahead. And any other questions, comments? On our website, we have our newsletter that has a lot of information about our updates, etc. So make sure to subscribe. Forest Rock also has a lot of their website and newsletter, so make sure to subscribe to that as well. Follow us on LinkedIn, etc., etc. Oh, we have another question. Roman says, what is the frequency of local controls update?
Great question. Elaine, I'm not sure if you know the answer to that. I certainly don't know the technical the actual frequency we use.
Let me see go ahead.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, it's using the same frequency, the LoRaWAN frequencies. For example, in the UK, it uses 868 megahertz.
Yeah.
Or if I'm understanding the question correctly, this is the frequency that LoRaWAN operates in.
Yeah. So LoRaWAN operates in different frequencies across Europe. So if you were to deploy, just to touch on that as well, it's sort of led to another sort of topic of discussion. The LoRaWAN frequencies operate in different levels in different places across the world. So that's why we have 3 different types of hardware: one for Asia, one for Europe, the rest of Europe, and one for the UK.
I think the question might be a bit different. So he might be asking about the number of times the control update happened. So that might be the frequency of local control update.
I have someone in our technical team, but if we don't get an answer before the webinar is over, Roman, we have your information. We will get back to you with a clear answer, or if we need more info as well to make sure we understand the whole context of the answer, we'll hit you up. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. I don't know if you have any final words.
No, thank you all for joining. I hope it wasn't too painful. I hope you've all seen our solution now and understand its functionalities is turned into, certainly the control side of things, turned into a light BMS now that can just help on so many projects. If you have a client that's just wanting to visualize data or create a couple of graphs or get some alarms sent, it's perfect. But also if you want to deploy this in a place that has no BMS whatsoever, but you want some control features added, you want to be able to automate and schedule the times that your heating and lighting turns on and off, it's an exciting time for Wattsense. And project-wise, I think it's extremely, it should be in the back of your mind to potentially just save that little bit of money instead of installing BMSs and use this.
Yeah, just to add on that. So, for example, if you need help with the pre-configuration, Forest Rock should be able to do that. We can pre-configure the sensors, the devices, or we can even pre-configure the box with the automation feature or the logic and the schedule logic within the box. So if you need support on that, we can provide that as well.
Excellent. And I think Ben, the person that was asking for Australia, our distributor is in the chat from Singotech, and he gave you an email, someone to contact in Australia. So feel free to check that out. Well, thank you very much. I think that's it. And this will be available on your inbox very shortly, and then it will be on YouTube in a week or something like that. Ciao.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you.